Hey, what's up guys? Mike Red Fox. In this video, we're going to talk about all the different ways that I measure the power that my GPUs or my mining rigs are pulling. Knowing how much wattage your GPUs and mining rigs are pulling is crazy important for two reasons. The first is your safety. You really have to understand a GPU on an individual level so you can wire up a mining rig correctly. If you need any help on that, I'll leave a link on the card above to my video on powering GPU mining risers safely. Beyond that, when you're looking at a full rig, you got to understand how much wattage that whole thing is pulling so you don't plug it into the wrong outlet on an underrated circuit and leave yourself in a potentially dangerous position. The second reason that knowing how much wattage your GPU or your mining rigs are pulling is for efficiency. You really have to understand how much a whole rig is pulling versus how much hash rate it's putting out to know your profit. When you really look at AMD cards, the wattage software reportings is just completely inaccurate. And even NVIDIA is not as accurate as you might think. I'll leave a link up in the card to my video testing that. So you want to understand with a meter how much an entire rig is pulling. Right here on the table, I have all the different ways that I've measured wattage of mining rigs and GPUs over time. And we're going to go through each one from the simplest to the most advanced, and I'm going to tell you how I've used it, and you can decide for yourself if this is something you might want to use in your setup. And I'll have links for everything down in the description below. So let's get started. First one we're going to talk about probably looks familiar to a lot of you. It's the kilowatt, the good old-fashioned kilowatt. There it is. You can take a look. Has a display on it, which is going to show you the wattage reading, and then a plug for you to plug your mining rig into. On the back of it, you can see it just goes into your standard house outlet. The one thing you got to know about this is it's only rated for 15 amps. So you got to be really careful that you're not plugging a mining rig into this that pulls more than 15 amps, or you could be in for a really bad time. Moving on from there, we're going to get into some smart devices. And the first one that I use is from the company iDevices. The reason I use this one is because I had it. It was around. And the reason I liked it was it would tell you the wattage being pulled over this in its app. So that was really cool, along with the added benefit of I could remote control rigs from anywhere. Maybe a rig went offline, I was at work, I could power it off, power it back on in the app using this. Here's what happens if you go over the 15 amp rating. Don't do that. Going on from there, this one is a Belkin Wemo Insights. Another smart switch, does the same kind of thing. You can see how much wattage is being pulled in the app. The reason I liked this one, and I used it for quite a while, is you can schedule it to send you monthly reportings for how much wattage, how much electricity is being used. So I could take a mining rig, plug it right into this, and then every month I got emailed a report that told me how much wattage that rig used. And that was really helpful for filing my taxes and getting all that information together. So moving on from there, we're going to get a little more advanced, but I still want to make this really attainable. So I built this meter. I got all the parts from my local big box stores or Amazon. You can take a look at it there. So it's got its display on top that's going to show the wattage reporting, and it's got two outlets on the bottom where I can plug in power supplies. The reason I really like this meter is that I can plug in a server power supply and an ATX power supply that I use in my mining rigs and get a wattage reporting for the entire rig. On the other end of this cable is just your familiar plug that plugs into your house outlet, and I did build this to be rated for 20 amps to work with the 20 amp circuits that I ran for testing my mining rigs. So if that's rated for 15 or 20 amps, now we're going to take a look at one that's rated for 30 amps. So you can see it's got the same familiar display up there, but instead has an L630 receptacle that allows me to plug a 30 amp PDU into it. In this case, if you like it, is made by the Meter Box. You can check them out. I'll leave a link down in the description below. So the way I use this is I will plug the other end of this into my 30 amp receptacle coming from my main panel. And then I'll plug a power distribution unit, a PDU, into this box. If you're not familiar with what a PDU is, here's an example one from MineShop. It's kind of like a big surge protector for 30 amp circuits. So I can plug multiple mining rigs into this. And then traditionally coming out of this would be a plug that would go into this box. So now I can measure multiples of rigs over this box at once to make sure I'm not overloading the circuit and get an idea of how much wattage multiple rigs are pulling. And that leads us to the last one we're going to talk about. Actually, just got this one in. It's courtesy of Mad Electron. I'll leave a link down to his YouTube channel in the description. And this one's really cool. I'm really excited for this one. And it works, what I found, in two different ways. You can see it has an input and an output for power. The way that I've used this is I can have this sit between my wall outlet and my power supply. It has an in coming in from the wall and an out going to that power supply, and will measure the amount of power that that power supply is pulling. The way I really like to use this is sitting in between a rig and a PDU. In the past, I'd have to move a rig, change cables, move meters over. It was just kind of a nightmare when I had it all set up, already plugged into a PDU. What this allows me to do is, again, go from the rig into the meter, from the meter into the PDU, and measure inline exactly how much a rig is pulling without having to move anything or rewire anything. The last one we're going to talk about is my favorite, and this one is specifically built to measure the power of an individual graphics card. It's by Elmor Labs, and it's called the PMD. I have it up in the test bench right now. The way this works is your power supply goes in, and it has 3 PCIe spots for the power supply. And then from the meter, you go out to your graphics card. It has 3 matching PCIe that come out and plug into your graphics card. So this sits between your power supply and your GPU. And so what it lets it do is measure the exact wattage being pulled inline over those PCIe cables. There is no better way to get an accurate measurement of GPU power than using this specific meter. I absolutely love it. So that's it, guys. That's all the different ways that I measure or have measured my GPUs or my mining rigs power over time. Again, links to all of this stuff is down in the description below. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hit the like button if you did. Subscribe to the channel for more GPU mining content. Leave a comment down below if there's something else that you use that I don't. I would love to hear from you. You can join my Discord if you want to chat. The link is down in the description. And as always, please take care of yourself, take care of each other, and I'll see you in the next video.